everyone, welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. A really popular cake trend right now are ganache drips or chocolate drips, whatever you want to call them. And I've actually shared a lot of Instagram videos showing how easy drips are to do, but there's a lot more behind it than just grabbing a squirt bottle and drizzling. So part of it has to do with the ganache you're using and the temperature it's at. Part of it has to do with your cake and how cold your buttercream is. And part of it is also the technique you use. So today I'm going to show you how to make chocolate ganache that we're going to be using to drizzle and the techniques that I use to get my perfect drips. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in now so you can watch exactly how I make my ganache, and then we'll get going on decorating our cake. So to make chocolate ganache, you only need 2 ingredients. It's incredibly simple. So you're going to need some heavy cream, which can be purchased at pretty much any grocery store, and you need some chocolate. So today I'm going to be using Hershey's semi-sweet chocolate chips, but you can use any chocolate you have on hand. You can use baking chocolate, you could use dark chocolate. You also could use white chocolate and make a white chocolate ganache, which you can color with different gel food colorings. However, if you're going to do that, the ratio of heavy cream to chocolate will be different, so definitely note that. So for today, to make our regular chocolate ganache, we're going to be using equal parts heavy cream and chocolate. So to start off, I'm going to take a half a cup of heavy cream, and we're going to go ahead and pour this. And we're just going to pour it into a heat-proof bowl. So we're going to set that aside for now. And so I'm going to pop this into a microwave for about 45 seconds until it just begins to bubble. So as you can see, our heavy cream is just beginning to simmer. So I'm going to go ahead and add our chocolate in. So like I said before, equal parts chocolate to heavy cream. So since we're using a half a cup of heavy cream, I'm going to add a half a cup of chocolate chips. So I'm going to set those aside. And I like to shake the bowl a little bit just to make sure that all of my chocolate chips are submerged in that warm cream. So we're going to let this sit now for about 1 to 2 minutes so that the chocolate can begin to soften before we start to stir it all together. So now that we've let our mixture rest for about 1.5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start to stir it together. And as you can see, the chocolate chips are already starting to soften, but just stir nice and slowly. We're just going to go ahead and keep going around. At first it won't come together, and every time I make ganache I get worried that I made it wrong or my ratio is off, but you just have to be patient and keep stirring slowly and it will come together. Another thing to note is if your mixture, maybe your chocolate isn't all the way melted, you can always pop it back into the microwave for another 10 or 15 seconds. Everyone's microwave is a little bit different, so you might need to add a little bit more heat, and that's totally fine. So as you can see, it still looks like it's kind of broken, but we're just going to keep stirring, and we're going to start stirring a little bit more vigorous now. And you can see it's starting to come together in the center there, so we're just going to keep on stirring. And now we're starting to get that beautiful chocolate color. So I always kind of like to scrape around the edges here. And now you can be a little bit more liberal with your stirs. Alright, so our mixture is fully incorporated now. As you can see, it's fully come together, but it's very liquidy and thin. So it's pretty warm right now, and when we drizzle it over a cake, we want it to be slightly cooler because we need it to be thicker than this so that the drops will keep their shape. So I like to usually let this sit out for about an hour or pop it into the fridge for maybe 10 or 15 minutes to allow it to thicken a bit. And once it has thickened, I usually will add it into a squirt bottle, which helps me control my drips. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside and let it cool, and then we will start to drip it on our cake. So now that our ganache is cooled and I've poured it into the squirt bottle, also, you don't have to use a squirt bottle to apply ganache to a cake. You can also take it out of the bowl and you can actually just spoon it on and do your drizzles that way. It's a little bit more controlled that way, and some people prefer that. However, I really enjoy using a drip bottle because I think it's actually a little bit easier and faster. So everyone has their different preferences, but this is the way that I like to do it. And I got these squirt bottles on Amazon, but I also think that you could find them at a Target or a Walmart or any kind of store like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set aside our still too warm ganache, and I'm going to go ahead and start to do some drizzles with our bottle of chocolate ganache. So as I said before, the temperature of your chocolate ganache is important, but also the temperature of your cake. So I have here a cake that I've already crumb coated and added a second layer of frosting to, and it's been in the freezer so it's nice and firm. So you can see it's firm to the touch, no frosting is going anywhere, and it's cold. And having your cake cold is going to help slow down the rate that your drips run down your cake, and it's going to help them keep their shape as they cool. So it's really important that your ganache isn't too warm and that your cake is fully chilled. So I'm going to come around now to the other side. I always like to do a test strip to make sure the viscosity of the chocolate ganache is right. So I'm going to flip around to the other side and we'll do our test strip together. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get our squirt bottle here, and we're just going to do a really small drip to start. So So we'll put out a decent amount of chocolate and we'll just see how far that runs. So it looks like our chocolate ganache is at a pretty good temperature. This is a little bit thick. It's not quite as smooth as I wanted, so I just popped it into the microwave for another 5 seconds to hopefully make it a little bit thinner. So we're now gonna go around and we're gonna make varying lengths of drips. So I like to start wherever I was, just kind of work my way around. So you can see now it's a lot more fluid, and that's kind of what I wanted. And if you want a longer drip, you just squirt a little bit longer, and if you want a short drip, you just quickly move over that spot. You really can alter the look of your drips to make them match your preference, which is the fun part of this. So I'm gonna make some longer drips now. And also, it's okay if it runs to the bottom. I actually like the look where it pools a little bit against the cake base, but if you don't, then you just wanna do slightly shorter squirts of ganache. So we're gonna keep working our way around. And just like that, we have all of our drips on. So as you can see, if there are some places where you have longer drips and you want that all around your cake, you can always go over a drip that you've already made and just add a little bit more chocolate. And that will help lengthen your drops. So there you have it. That's how you add chocolate ganache drips to a cake. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to click the like and subscribe button below. And if you want to see more of my cake creations, you can also follow me on Instagram at Chelsweets. I post YouTube tutorials every week, so if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I actually think I'm going to cover the top of this cake in ganache and then cut into it because it has a really fun pattern inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So when I'm covering the top of a cake, I usually just like to swirl ganache all around. You don't have to be very particular about this, you can have fun with it. You just want enough so you can smear it evenly over the cake. And you're going to gently work it to the edges where it meets with the line that you made when you made the drips. Perfect. So now I'm going to show you guys what is on the inside of this cake. So it's a zebra pattern. So as you guys can see, I've marbled together my favorite vanilla cake base and my favorite chocolate cake base, which I've colored black with a little bit of gel food coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down. And there you have it, a very fun chocolate drip cake.